Morning, Year 7 and Year 8. You're lucky. You get me twice in as many days. I know there have been some problems with editing the documents that I put up for you on Microsoft Teams. That's because it turns out you can't edit text boxes in Microsoft Teams or on Word Online. I thought I was being really clever and creating something that would be really easy for you to do, but unfortunately, you can't do it. But don't worry, I think I've worked it out and worked out another way that you can do it. So I need you to follow these instructions really closely. You'll notice that I'm on my Teams page. These are all the teams that I'm a part of. Now I'm going to go into Year 7 first of all, History Year 7, and here's the assignment here. Now yours, as we said yesterday, won't look like mine at the moment. You can see when it loads that here I've got all of the students in Year 7 and it tells me who's viewed it or who's not looked at it, etc. But if I click on Edit Assignment, mine, that won't be an option for you, but mine looks a bit more similar to yours, okay? Now you'll notice, and this will probably appear when you click on the assignment, that there are now two editable documents. Editable Aspiring for Excellence Assessment, Cycle C Year 7, and new editable Aspiring for Excellence Assessment, Cycle C Year 7. It's the same for Year 8. It just says Year 8 instead of Year 7, essentially. Now, ignore the one that says Editable Aspiring for Excellence, Cycle C Year 7. Ignore that one. Unfortunately, it won't let me delete it, but just ignore it. The one I need you to now use is this one, New Editable Aspiring for Excellence Assessment, Cycle C Year 7. New editable. No, only use that one. Ignore the other one. So I'm just going to click on it. And you'll see that it will open exactly the same as it did with the old document. Only this time I've got rid of the text boxes. Okay, so I'm going to follow the same process again if I want to edit it in Microsoft Teams. And I'm going to click Edit Document, Edit in Browser. I'll do that again. I'm going to click Edit Document in the top right, Edit in Browser. Once it's loaded, you'll then notice that I can go ahead and I can type when it's loaded. That I can go ahead and I can type in this document, okay? Which just makes it a bit easier. So if I wanted to add timelines, for example, or events to my timelines, then I'm just going to write here, 1 second, that's me, Iron Age, and then I might skip forward, just like I did yesterday, and write Roman Britain. Now, if you're doing it this way, unfortunately, it is going to be a bit annoying, and it's going to move things around all the time. Now, that's not really too much of a problem. It's quite easy to overcome it. You just maybe type underneath, for example. So I might come here and I might write 440 AD, roughly. I'm going to put Anglo-Saxon Britain here, okay? So it's not that much of a problem, really, to be honest. It just might move around a little bit when you're doing the timeline, okay? But the same deal, you can go underneath, you can press enter, you can make this page actually as big as you need it to be. So actually there's plenty of room there. It might look small or might have looked small at first, but actually there's plenty of room for me to create my timeline, okay? Again, to do that, to make it bigger or smaller, I'm pressing enter to go down a line to make it bigger, and I'm pressing backspace to go back up a line, and that makes it smaller again. And again, really simple. If I want to move across the screen, you can use tab, which is what I'm using now. Tab is the little button with two arrows pointing the opposite directions to each other in the top left-hand side of your keyboard, or you can just use the space button like you would use to put a space between words. That's the big, long, thin one at the bottom of your keyboard. The enter button is the one with an arrow pointing that direction, kind of almost in the center of your keyboard. It's the big button, okay? Remember, the enter button is the one you use to go down the page, like I've just done. Backspace, the kind of rectangular button with the arrow pointing that direction at the sort of the top middle of your keyboard. All right. So that's how you can edit the timeline if you're using it in Microsoft Teams. And the same really with your paragraphs. You can see here's that question again, what mattered most to Henry VIII? Well, if you scroll down, it says claim paragraph task, type here. That's where you're going to type your answer. All right, and it's really simple. I'm just going to add what mattered most to young Henry VIII was. Okay, so you can type your answer there. And you'll see that already, if you scroll down, I've created sort of 4 or 5 pages for you to write. So there's loads of room, but if you still need more room, then again, exactly the same as you did with the timeline, you're going to use Enter to go down the page and make yourself more room. And you're going to use Backspace, the kind of rectangular oblong with an arrow pointing that way, middle top of your keyboard, the big button, not as big as Enter there. You're going to use Backspace to go back up the page, okay? So if you're editing in Microsoft Teams, which I'd encourage most of you to do because it's easier and it's less messing around, then that's how you're going to edit it, okay? Really, really simple. Now, if I wanted to, I could also, I'm just going to go ahead and close this. If I wanted to, I could also edit this on my own desktop app. So if you've got Word on your computer and you prefer to do it on your own Word, then you can do that. I had some questions about that, so I'm going to show you how to do it. All I'm going to do if I want to edit this on my own Word document is click on the 3 dots, and then I'm going to click Open in Word. So I'll do that again. I'm going to click on the 3 dots here, and I'm going to select Open in Word. And then it might come up with another option. It said to me for that Open Word. Well, that's what I'm going to do. And now it's going to open that document. Now you can see that it looks maybe slightly different. It looks maybe a bit neater, but it's not really any different. If I press Enter here, that timeline's still going to move around and be a bit annoying. So I'm going to have to press buttons to make it smaller again. You can use Backspace, or you can actually use Delete as well to get rid of some of that space if you wanted to. And you're just going to use it in exactly the same way as you did before, or as I did before. I'm going to type here, well, Iron Age might go along a bit, and type Roman Britain. Again, if I want to close that gap, well, I'm going to use either Delete, or I could have used Backspace as well to close that gap up. But you'll see it just leaves a bigger gap underneath anyway, so there's not really much point. And again, with the answer, you're just going to do it in the same way. You're going to type your answer here. What mattered most to young Henry VIII was. Okay? Same deal, really. It's just a bit more complicated because now you've got to do something extra. So you're going to have to go and save a copy of this document, and you might want to save it to your computer. For example, I might go ahead and I might call this Mr. Jones's AFE assessment. I'm going to save it to my documents, and I'm just going to save it there. And then where this is a little bit more complicated is how I've then got to upload this to Microsoft Teams. So as I was saying, really, if you can get it to work on Microsoft Teams, it's better just because it's a bit easier, okay? I'm just going to update that in case I did any changes. Now, I can't show you this on our assignment because obviously I set the assignment, but I can show you how to do it on the test class, on Mr. Bones's class that I showed you yesterday, okay? So I'm going to go on my history task here. And then if I want to add a piece of work that I've got saved to my computer, it's actually still quite simple. I'm just going to go to Add Work, the little plus picture. I'm going to click on Upload from this device, which is in the bottom left-hand corner. Now, it won't be highlighted until I hover over it, and then it highlights in purple. So that's how you know you're about to select it. So I'm going to select upload from this device. And then you'll see that it shows all of my documents and things that I've got on here. And luckily, Mr. Jones's AFE assessment is at the top. Now, the easiest way of using documents is, I find, to use the date modified function. So if I press that, if I double click it, it shows them in order of the date and time, actually, that I made changes to them on my computer. So I know the most recent one I've done is this, Mr. Jones AFE assessment, so it's always going to be at the top. Once you've found your document you want to add, I'm just going to double click it. Oh, it won't let me do it because I'm using it. Yeah, that's the point, actually. If you are using the document, it won't let you upload it. So you're going to have to close it down first, like I just did, before you can upload it. So I'm going to double click it again. It's uploading. When it's finished, I'm going to click done. Now I've given Mr. Bones my complete work. If you are doing this, can you save it as something like I've done? Your name and then AFE assessment. And then I'm just going to go ahead and click hands in again, just like in the other video. There's that weird picture. I'm getting a jellyfish this time. That's interesting. And that's handed in. Now, the third option that you've got, in fact, I'll tell you what, we'll do the year 8 one this time. So I've shown the year 8 one too. The third option that you have, rather than editing it in Microsoft Teams or editing it on your own desktop Word application, you could, if you wanted to, click on the link, go and click on print. So if you've got a printer at home and you prefer to do this written out by hand, that's fine. You're going to need to go and hit print and then print it, etc., to your computer, however that works on your computer at home. You might want to ask somebody about that. And you're going to need to write out your answer on this document. But I don't want anybody to send me their work on email. That's not how you're sending me your work. So if you're doing it that way, then you're going to need to scan it in somehow. Now, you can either do that on a scanner, you could take a picture with your phone, or in fact, if you are taking a picture with your phone, I'd recommend that you use an app called Office Lens. It's free on the App Store. Office Lens, OOOICE space LENS. What that does is helps you to take good pictures of documents with your phone and turns them into PDFs or Word documents and things that you can use. So if you are printing it off and you're writing it by hand, you're going to need to take a photograph with Office Lens or your phone or scan it in, and then you're going to need to hand it in on Microsoft Teams. Do not send it to me in an email because I'm not going to read it. You need to submit it on Microsoft Teams. You're probably wondering, how do you do that? Well, exactly the same way as you did if you use the desktop app. Once you've got the document saved either as a picture or as a scan, you need to save it to your computer in your documents or somewhere. And then you're just going to do exactly the same thing as I did before. So if I go back onto my Teams, I'll show you on the test class. Once I'd saved my picture or my scan of my work done by hand, I would click on Add Work, that plus there again at the bottom. Again, I'm going to go to upload from this device. That means this computer. I would find my document in here. If it's a picture, you might find that it's saved in pictures, so you might find it there. So I would go there and I'm just going to click open, for example, and then it will upload it, done, and then I've got my work on there, okay? Again, once you're finished, you've got all your work up, you're going to click hand in. If you did it by accident, click undo hand in, and you can do it all again. Hand in when you're finished. So hopefully that one works better. To summarize, you've got three options. Option one, the best option, is to go into your Teams. We'll do year 8 this time. Go into your Teams, click on View Assignment, click on the document, and then edit it by clicking Edit Document, Edit in Browser. When it loads, and then just typing onto the document. The drawback of it is that the timeline will move around as you're typing, but it's not really that much of a problem. You're going to use Enter, the big kind of weirdly shaped button, and Backspace or Delete to make the page bigger or smaller. Once you're finished, it'll save automatically. You click Close and you update. That's option one. When it decides it's going to load. Option two is to click on the three little dots. Remember, we're only using the new editable Aspiring for Excellence assessment. Option two is to click on the three little dots and click on Open in Word. Open Word if it flags up with that. Edit it in Word, save it as something else. Remember, you should be using your name and Aspiring for Excellence assessment. And then when you've done that, go to Microsoft Teams again and add it or add resources, save it, update, hand it in. Option three, print it off. Take a picture using Office Lens or scan it in, and then do the same thing again. Click Add Resource or Add Document, save it, hand it in. Okay? Those are your three options. Definitely the best option, if you can work it out, is option one and use Microsoft Teams. Do not send me an email with your work because I will ignore it. You need to submit it on Teams. Okay? Thanks, Year 7 and Year 8.